In today's video, I am going to teach you how to export email with API Sendgrid. To get started, you will sign in to Twilio Sendgrid. This is the dashboard where you can manage your account and set up the access your application needs. When you sign in, make sure you are using the correct account that has permission to create API keys. Take a moment to confirm you are in the main Sendgrid workspace, because the next options are found in the Settings area. Once you are signed in, click Settings. This section is where Sendgrid places configuration tools for things like security, API access, and other account-level controls. If you see a navigation menu on the left or across the top, look for the option labeled Settings and select it. This step matters because the API key controls are not located on the main screen. They are specifically grouped under Settings. After you open Settings, click API Keys. Here you can create new keys and manage how your applications authenticate. You should be able to see any existing keys and also access the control to generate a new one. If this is your first time setting up API access, the screen may look simple, but the controls you need are still there. Next, click Create API Key. Think of this as the point where you tell Sendgrid, my application needs an API key for specific tasks. Clicking this option starts the workflow for creating a new key. You may be prompted to enter details such as the name and permissions. For the rest of the process, follow what appears on screen, so the key is set up correctly for exporting email-related data. Now enter an API key name. The name is for your own organization, so choose something descriptive that helps you remember what this key is used for. For example, you can use a name that reflects the integration or the environment. The key name does not change the function of the key, but it makes future management much easier. After naming the key, select the required permissions. Permissions determine what your application is allowed to do when it calls Sendgrid APIs. In this workflow, you will want permissions that support using the Export Contacts API or the Email Activity API. Look carefully at the available permission options and choose the ones that match the data access you plan to export. If you are unsure, focus on the permissions related to contact exporting and email activity retrieval, because those map directly to the exports you will run. Once the permissions are selected, click Create and View. This confirms your selections and takes you to a screen where you can access the actual API key value. At this stage, it is important to complete the remaining actions right away, because API keys are typically only shown at creation time. Now copy the API key. You will use this value in your application to authenticate API requests. Make sure you copy the full key exactly as it appears. After copying, keep it in a secure place, like an environment variable or a secure configuration store. Avoid placing it in public code repositories or sharing it in places where it could be exposed. Finally, use the API key to call the Export Contacts API or Email Activity API from your application. This means your code will send requests to the correct Sendgrid API endpoints while including the API key for authorization. The exact request format depends on your programming language and your existing application structure, but the concept stays the same. The API key lets Sendgrid know your application is permitted to access the requested export data. When you test your integration, confirm that your application successfully authenticates and that the exported results match what you expect. If your permissions were set correctly, the API calls should return the contact or email activity information you need for export. That covers everything you need to know, and that is all there is to it.